All right, everybody, welcome back to the Waiver Wire. It is June 18th, 6:47 p.m. We are 2 days out from the NBA draft. I'm joined today with my good friend from high school, Nick. We used to talk about sports all the time. I remember going to parties and pretty much ignoring everybody because Nick and I were in sports talk. But anyways, we've been talking about this draft. We've been talking about our three favorite players. I know you took three down. I took three down. So why don't you kick us off with one of your favorites?
All right, sweet. Well, we got to kick it off with most potential. The biggest storyline of the draft, outside of Zion, obviously, is Bull. 7'2", just freak out of Oregon. He's the highest rated recruit Oregon's ever got, and as a Duck fan, I was just like so ecstatic for this guy who is so unique. He's Manute Bull's son, and he's way more talented than Manute. I mean, dude can dribble, he can shoot. Once he crosses half court, he's in range. And then he goes down with a fractured left foot and doesn't play the rest of the season. And it's kind of, he's just an enigma. All throughout the year, he's top 10 mock draft. He's creeping in the top 5. And, we come around Thursdays, the MGA draft, and we got him going 24th to 76ers and all over the place because of being that tall. 7'2" with a fractured foot is major red flags for guys that tall and that thin. And then also there's this weird, he's kind of aloof. Got a little, people aren't sure how intense he is, but all I know is when he played at Oregon for 9 games, he was an absolute star. He was an animal versus Syracuse in Madison Square Garden. He went for 26 points, 9 boards, 4 blocks, and they could not stop him. I just think if he is able to stay healthy, and obviously with a lot of these guys, but especially Bull, put on some weight, he could be an absolute star.
Yeah, I feel like I've never seen a big man be so efficient on the offensive side of the ball, at least in college basketball. I mean, you're talking like a 7'3" guy, 208 pounds. He's 19 years old. I mean, he averaged 21 a game, 10 boards, and 3 blocks. He shot 56% from the field and 52% from three, which I think the three-point shooting was super impressive. And holding it down with 75% from free throw, I think that's extremely good for a big man. You know what I mean? A couple player comparisons I have is, I don't know if you're going to like this one, but I think physically his frame, he's kind of like a little Thon Maker. His ceiling's obviously much higher, but he's a little bit like Thon Maker to me. I read a bunch of things about him being the unicorn, so KP came to mind, but KP is a stud, so it's kind of hard to compare someone out of school going to him. I mean, he can shoot from any side. He can take you off the dribble. He's just I think he's going to be a stud as long as he can stay healthy. He's going to be someone to reckon with in the league.
Yeah, I like Thon Maker because he hasn't made it, and then you have Porzingis on the other side of the spectrum. So those are perfect. I dug deep with my comparison. I got a little mix. Andre Bargnani on the offensive side and Dikembe Mutombo on the defensive side. I think he's very unique, so it's really tough to tell. But I like the Thon Maker because, Thon Maker hasn't made it, but that's very good comparison because they're built the same. And, let's be real, when Thon Maker was coming out, there were plenty of people that were saying the same thing about him and how good he could have been.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one of my guys was Hachimura out of Gonzaga. 6'8", 230 pounds, 21 years old. His stat line's pretty impressive. He's got 20 a game, 6.5 boards, 2 assists. He shot 60%. I think he's an absolute killer in transition. He's got a great mid-range jumper. You try to close out on him, he's going to take you off the dribble. He's got a strong inside game, overpowering smaller defenders. His biggest knock, I feel like, is defensively. He can get lost in rotations. He's a little bit slower. He doesn't got that quick step. One thing that I thought was super interesting was his frame is very similar to Giannis's. He's 6'8" with a 7'2" wingspan. Giannis is 6'9" with a 7'3" wingspan. So you got some length with him. But what do you think of him coming out of Gonzaga?
Yeah, when I think about the way he plays, it's just, and then, I mean this in a good way, but he's old-fashioned, man. He's going to score in the paint. He's physical. He's just absolutely shredded. He's put together. And with that wingspan, which honestly really surprises me that he has that long of a wingspan, but that's huge for guys going to the NBA, especially a wing player who may be a little shorter, being 6'8". He's going to be facing the Durants, the LeBrons, the Giannis's of the world. That wingspan, that's the kind of stuff that evens things out, and that's why Kawhi is so much bigger than 6'7", where he stands, is because of that freaky wingspan. And I really like his work ethic. He's going to be the first player ever born in Japan, drafted in the NBA, so that'll be really cool. And guys that come out of the Gonzaga system from Mark Few, they know how to work, and he already is physically developed, so he's not gonna be pushed around in the NBA. And I just think that he can really develop into a really solid player.
Yeah, you got Zach Collins coming out of Gonzaga too, so that's another stud.
Yeah.
But anyways, and one more knock on him, I guess, is he's a little bit weaker when he possesses the ball inside. He let a couple guards block him this year, but that's something, like you said, you've seen him hit in the weight room a lot. That's something he's addressing actively, which I think is good to see if you're someone that's interested in drafting him. He's like actively working on all of his weaknesses. So who's another guy for you?
All right, so my second guy is Mfiondu Kabengele. He's a power forward, probably can play a little bit of the five, out of Florida State. He's the maternal nephew of Dikembe Mutombo, so that's two Dikembe Mutombo references already. And I just really like his game, especially in today's NBA, the way he can stretch the floor and also defend the rim. He shot 37% from three, and he averaged 1.5 blocks per game at Florida State. He didn't shy away from big-time competition. He was big in the tournament, and he's also played great versus Duke in the ACC tournament. I just think that in today's game, having a power forward who's switchable in the pick and roll, who can hit open, spot-up threes, and can also defend the rim, those are the type of guys you want. The Serge Ibaka's, Pascal Siakams. You have your Mirotic, Kevin Love, the guys that can stretch the floor and also defend a little bit. Kyle Kuzma, so those type of guys, they're special.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think in those two tournament games, he had 22 points a game, 9 rebounds, and 2 blocks, which is a super impressive stat line. But the most impressive thing about that is, he shot 64% from the field and 67% from three. So, in those two games, he was just so efficient offensively. And I totally agree with what you're saying, where you got to have guys in today's NBA. You got to be able to defend the pick and roll, and you got to be able to spread the floor offensively. And this guy does exactly that. With his skill set. One thing that really impressed me with him is him. He played behind Jonathan Simmons at Florida State, so he didn't really start. But in one of his interviews, he's like, "I'm ready to go out there. I'm ready to be that role player. I'm ready to go and bring some energy to this team. Coming off the bench." And I think that's something that, as a fan, I look for. When we had Ed Davis, I thought it was super impressive how he could just enter the floor and the energy totally change. So I think as a fan, seeing somebody like this come out of college, to me, makes me look forward to watching him.
Yeah, I love that mindset. Just being able to contribute to a team however you can, especially when he's a unique guy where he's got high potential, high floor, but he's going to be picked most likely outside the top 12. So you're getting into the teams that were outside looking in that want to compete this year, and also playoff teams.
And that could be the thing they're missing is a little bit of energy coming off the bench and bringing something different to your team. And it's he's not even just energy. He's shown that he can be efficient offensively and defensively. You know what I mean? So he's the whole package coming in for you. So. And you said, picking outside the 12, you are those teams that are just almost there. You're getting closer. You need guys like this. So my second guy is RJ Barrett. He's a 6'7", 207-pound, 19-year-old. He averaged 23 a game, shot 45 from the field, averaged 8 boards and 4 assists a game. What do you think of RJ Barrett?
RJ Barrett, there's so much to like about him, and then just my certain flavors I like from guys. He's one of those guys that he really worries me too. But the things that I love about RJ Barrett is, he jumps off the screen. He's a monster in transition, throwing down dunks. Him and Zion, they put on a show just about every game. And he's also really good ball handler, and he's a physical player, and I really like that because he's really not super jacked up or anything, but he plays bigger than he is, and I like guys that are already playing physical in college. That's
Right.
usually an adjustment people have to make, but RJ won't. He's got a little Westbrook to him when he likes to come downhill, and he's going to take it to the cup, and sometimes it's going to be incredible, and sometimes he's going to throw it in the third row, but he's got the right mindset.
Yeah, I just like any sport. I like physicality, which is a lot we talk about on the Steelers podcast. You know, I talk a lot about defense. You know, and I like players that are physical and can come in and make a big difference. I think he's one of these guys that's going to come out. He's a big guard. He's going to body you. He's going to, he's quick. He's going to be able to score. He's going to rebound. I think he's going to absolutely stuff the stat sheet. A couple interesting things that I thought were like his measurements at the 2018 Hoop Summit were almost identical to DeMar DeRozan's. You know?
Oh, okay.
Nice. Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. And also his freshman season, his stat line was very similar to that of Melo's in 2002 with Syracuse. You know, they were a fourth of a point off. Melo had him by 2.5 rebounds, but RJ doubled his assist a game. You know what I mean? So it's like I like these guys that can go in there, be physical, score at will, and they rebound and they still share the ball. I think he's got a lot of potential. I really like RJ Barrett, and I hope to see him be successful in his rookie season. You know. So who's your other guy?
All right. So my last guy is Kevin Porter Jr. I mean, when it comes to the NBA draft, it's not like the NFL draft where you can look at an NFL player late in the first round or later in the draft, and you're going, this guy's really solid at everything. Guys that are really solid at everything in the NBA draft, they usually don't make it because it's about specialists and it's about intense athletes, just the most premier athletes on the face of the planet. And Kevin Porter Jr.'s got a little bit of everything. 6'6", wing player out of USC. He only played 5 games before he was suspended at a USC program that was just an absolute whirlwind of chaos between suspensions, NCAA violations from the coach, and also boosters. So it wasn't the greatest environment for a guy who has the reputation of being a little volatile. And that's the same way his game is. I mean, you turn on a highlight reel of Kevin Porter Jr., and you're going, why is this guy not the first pick? And he's a high-flying dunker. He can get his shot whenever he wants it. He's just breaking down defenders, mid-range, deep three, catch and shoot. But with all those great plays, you watch him throughout the game, and, he's turning the ball over. He's taking some bad shots, and it's hard to decipher if that's because they need him to do those things or if he's just that type of player.
Yeah, I like how you bring up the NFL draft comparison because, for example, it might be a little biased, but shoot, when Jordan Bell got drafted, I was thinking this guy's going to be a freak in the NBA, and he is playing in Golden State, so he is behind some high-level talent, but hopefully he gets to a team where he can showcase his skill set because I really like him. But yeah, with Kevin Porter, he's a beast. I mean, he's got a 6'9" wingspan. He's 6'6", 220 pounds. He's an explosive talent. He was basically toying with defenders in college and just going strong to the hoop and finishing. I don't have a player comparison to him because I can't really think. The explosiveness like Westbrook maybe, but I don't know who you would compare him to. Or go ahead.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Sorry. Just because of how volatile he is, I can't help but compare him to J.R. Smith. They both shoot the ball effortlessly.
Yeah.
It just comes off their hand really nice. The thing about J.R. Smith, I think, especially people that are a little bit like younger than us, they didn't get to see him when he was like with the Knicks and the Nuggets. Like,
yeah,
he's a high flyer.
He was
sick
with the Knicks.
Yeah, he could win a dunk contest. And Kevin Porter's the same way. He doesn't take it to the rack a lot, but he could probably win a dunk contest. So I really like J.R. Smith just because he can go for 38, and then and then you got LeBron looking at him like this, like, what are you doing on the court on the other side?
Yeah, I think his biggest knock is he struggles to get to the line, which, like you said, he might not attack enough, so he might not be getting those opportunities. He averaged 2.2 free throws a game. He received a suspension from the team after an argument with the coach. But personally, I don't look at team suspensions like that because you never know what type of egos you have in the locker room, who you're dealing with. A coach and a player could just simply not get along. You know what? I just think it's hard for me to gauge somebody off a coach's suspension versus the league suspension. Um,
Yeah.
my biggest knock on him is he averages more turnovers than assists. He's got averages 2 turnovers a game and 1.5 assists a game. So, but those are things that I think you really can work on and get better at. Just the decision making. You know, when you're 19 years old, there's going to be plays that you take off or plays you miss as he develops. You know, you can't teach those physical gifts. You know what I mean? But you can try to teach them those good decisions. And you know, these are where you want to shoot. This is when you want to pass. This play is designed for Reddick to get a 3 out here. You know, so.
Yeah. Exactly.
I think he's got a lot of potential going into I think a lot of these guys that we chose are pretty solid guys, but I think Porter's another one who's just got nothing but potential. You know, because people are gonna wait on him. He's gonna fall. You know, he's gonna fall down in the draft.
Yeah, somebody's gonna take a swing on him. I mean, he could be a guy. He could be one of those guys where in college they wanted him to create, and in the NBA they're going, "Hey, no, you just hit the open shots when you get them. We don't need you to dribble around." And he ends up being a lot more efficient based on the environment someone puts him in.
Yeah, exactly. My third and final guy is Kobe White. You know, he's a 6'5", 185-pound guard from UNC. He averaged 16 a game, 3.5 boards, and 4.1 assists. I think the league average for point guards is 6'3", so he's a little bit taller. But what do you think of Kobe White?
I love Kobe White. He's just the one word that just pops in my mind every time I think of Kobe White is electric. He is just absolutely electric. He is so sudden with the ball, but he's not one speed. He's not just reckless downhill. He's got a little herky-jerky to him in the pick and roll, and he knows when to step on the gas and when to hit the brakes. And he is a pretty good shooter, being a big guard. A lot of these guys come out of college, the Exums, the Lonzos, and these oversized guards, the Michael Carter-Williams, they don't shoot very well, but, I mean, Kobe White, he's got a nice stroke to him, and he can shoot without the dribble, which I think is something unique that a lot of these guys, especially when they're raised handling the ball, they don't develop, and then he shoots the ball well without it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think he's one of the most exciting people coming out of the draft, I feel like. I mean, he had 3 games where he scored over 30. Like you said, he knows when to turn it on. He knows when to step back. I think he's like an absolute beast. The way you talked about Kevin Porter shooting effortlessly, that's how I feel about Kobe White. He knocks down shots. He's a baller. I like watching him play. I think what makes him different is his ability to cut through the defense and finish it tough contested shots. I mean, he's got great ball handling, and I think he's got solid lateral quickness too, which also translates on the defensive end when you play in a league full of quick point guards. I feel like there's a little bit of Jamal Murray in him. You know, I saw a couple takes where they were calling him a little like Dame, but you know, I don't see Dame yet. You know, Dame's a little too athletic. You know, Dame. I don't know, Dame to me, he's just, you got to prove yourself in the league to be compared to some of the greats, and I think Dame's one of the greats at this point in time. So, but I mean, whatever team he goes to, I'm an instant fan of, because that's like an NBA League Pass night where you're flipping through and you're like, oh shit, Kobe White's playing right now. Like I'm watching this. You know what I mean? So I'm super excited to watch him play. RJ Barrett's the guy I'm the most excited to watch, but Kobe White's right there with him. You know, like I like watching these explosive guards that can take over games. So it's gonna be a good draft. It's gonna be a lot of fun to see where some of these players end up and know which League Pass games I'm watching next year.
Yeah, I'm excited for all these guys. I think Kobe White, he's exciting. I mean, we're adding more speed to the league. You got De'Aaron Fox and Kobe White. I'd love to see those guys go back and forth between the hair.
I like De'Aaron Fox, man. He's awesome. But anyways, Nick, I appreciate you coming on. We're gonna be having like what's happening in the NBA podcast releasing here in a couple days, probably latest by Friday. But Nick, man, I really appreciate you coming on and talking hoops with me. It's been a lot of fun, man. I appreciate it.
No problem. Anytime. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely.